Here I am walking back to my stockroom. Actually walking from my stockroom back to my booth. These back hallways of the mall. Super industrial, super cool. It's amazing. Come along with me on this journey. I made this video because I was experiencing a whole lot of stuff today and it was overwhelming, and I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this and get this done? And somebody else was freaking out and I was trying to calm them down, and I was like, you know what, no, I'm going to crush all of this. And how do you do it? You got to break it down to bite-sized pieces. And then I was like, why don't I share this with you guys? I share everything with you guys. I show you how to make jewelry, show you how to make art, and show you how to overcome your fears. Who knows, maybe this will be a video that helps you more than wrapping wire around some stones. We'll see. It's very stream of consciousness, and I'm not going to edit it that much. I usually edit like stuff so much, but I just don't feel like I'm just going to put it up today. You guys see what you think. It's Matt here, and I'm going to talk to you about how to not be afraid of anything. It's very simple. You face your fears. That's the easiest thing. There's no 10-step program. You face your fears. That's it. But how do you face your fears? First of all, there are a couple steps. First, you realize that your fears are telling you something about yourself. They're not your enemy. They're actually your teacher. What is wrong? Your fears are teaching you. Like, I should write this out. Help me organize it better. There we go. Got some notes now. Your fears reveal your weaknesses. And that's a good thing, because now they're your teacher. They can show you what you need to improve in your life. But then how do you face them? Well, first of all, you face them head on. But what does that mean? The good thing is when you overcome your weaknesses, you will be a stronger, better person. So your fears could actually be your best friends ever. Okay, so how do you do that? How do you face your fears? First thing you do is you go against your natural inclination. Your natural inclination is to run for the hills, to like take off, avoid, escape, dive into escape mechanism. Don't think just because you're not getting in your car and driving to another city that you're not running away. Oh, look, I'm hungry. I can face this later. That's running away. Ooh, I'd like to play some video games now. That's running away. My favorite TV shows on. That's running away. Don't run away. Face them. Do the complete opposite of what your fears want you to do. Your fears want you to run. And they take on a life of their own. Like, they really do have flesh and blood, and they really desire for you to run away. And sometimes they do. Sometimes they're real human bullies. But in any case, you face them head on. Now, how do you do that? If it's a real bully, people say, oh, stand up to your bully, and they run away. And then a lot of people stand up to a bully and find they get their face kicked in. And then they're shell-shocked for life. So how do you really stand up to a bully? Well, you train yourself to fight. Let's take another fear. People are afraid to wake up in the morning early enough. Like, people want to sleep in. I've had this fear. You're afraid if I don't get that extra hour of sleep, my day is going to be awful. I'm going to get sick, blah, blah, blah. So say you have to get up at 7. You're terrified to get up at 7. You sleep until 8. You ruin your day. How do you force yourself to make it a thing you're never afraid of again? Well, get up at 6. First set your alarm for 6. And then get somebody to hold you accountable. So I'm going to start over right here. There really are 3 steps. 1, your fears reveal your weaknesses. 2, overcome your fears, and you become a better person. Simple. 3 is, how do you do that? And you make it bigger, and you face it head on. Magnify your fears. If you're afraid of doing anything, force yourself to do twice as much as what you're afraid of. Suddenly, you'd think that would terrify you, but actually it turns it around, it turns it into a challenge. Let's take the real life experience of a bully. Like say you're afraid of an actual kid who's picking on you when you're a kid, or maybe even you're still being picked on by bullies. Think about facing that bully head on. What goes through your mind? What are you afraid of? And now think, what if I had to face 2 of those bullies, 3 of those? What if I had to face my bully with a crowbar in his hand? Like, make your fears magnified, make them worse than they could ever be, and then face that bigger fear that you've created. Suddenly, it almost seems comical to you, but it almost seems like a big challenge. It's exciting instead of being like a petty little fear. Because most of our fears, you'll find out in the end, they're actually very small and very petty. And when you overcome them, you'll kick yourself, say, why didn't I do this years ago? So you take this bully, for example. Say he's physically confronting you. He's bothering you every time he sees you. You're intimidated by him. You hate feeling this way. You feel like a smaller person. It's a horrible feeling. So you learn to fight. You learn to fight. How do you do that? You just sign up for classes. Start taking some kind of karate classes, boxing. Take classes. Oh, I don't have time for that. Yeah, you do have time for that, because overcoming this fear will be more beneficial to your life than college training, than almost anything else you can do. Our fears are what hold us back. It's more than anything else. So carve out some time and force yourself. Grab yourself by the scruff of the neck. In fact, bully yourself. Maybe you need a bully because you're so weak. You let everything push you around. You need this bully to just bring it out, make you feel so horrible that you finally face it. So force yourself to take some kind of fighting lessons. And as you start to take the fighting lessons, you're going to feel really good. You're going to get exercise. You're going to feel yourself getting hit. And it's going to hurt, but you're going to realize it's not ending you. It's not ruining you. It's probably not even going to send you to need a Band-Aid or anything. You're going to find that getting hit isn't the worst thing on earth. And you're going to get hit over and over, and you're going to learn to have someone come at you ready to hit you and not be afraid. Not just because you can counter it, but because when you get hit, you're going to be okay. And, you might get hit bad a couple times when you're least expecting it usually. It's usually when you don't expect it, like some foot will come out of nowhere and give you a bloody nose, and you're like, oh, that was worse than all the ones that I saw coming. Just move on. Get over it. Do what you need to do. Take 3 days off. Get your nose fixed. Whatever. But as you take these classes, you'll get better and better and better. I always wanted to do gymnastics, and I put it off for years, and I finally started taking a class. The first thing I found out, I thought I'd be afraid to, throw my body backwards and be afraid to land on my head. I'd have to teach myself to overcome that fear. Now, actually wasn't a big deal. The biggest deal I found out was that my wrists were not as strong as the rest of my body, and I had to actually stop the gymnastics and do regular weight training to build up my arm strength, because I was totally ready to throw myself head first into the floor and try to do a handspring or whatever, or a handstand, but doing it over and over and over, my wrists would get really sore and dangerously, painfully swollen, and so I had to stop. And so as you start these lessons, you'll learn more things about yourself, more things that you need to do. So in this example, you're taking these fighting lessons, and it could be boxing, it could be some kind of karate. Do a little research, find out. There's like several forms of karate that are just, when I say kung fu, martial arts, whatever. There's several forms that are a little bit less reputable than others for helping you out in a real life street fight. There are some that are, only really work in competition. They're more of an art form, less of a real life street brawling training, but definitely boxing is good. And then there are some kung fu methods or karate, whatever, martial arts that will help you out. They'll all help you out as far as giving you discipline, exercise, and just, a routine of doing something different with your life than, sitting, watching your television, watching your computer screen, and drinking coffee all day. So anyway, then you you go to face your bully, let's say 6 months, a year from now, you've been practicing, you've been getting hit in the face, you've been building confidence, you're not afraid anymore. And, do more things. Like tell your best friend, like say, hey, come at me, let's spar. Let's, do a little slap box outside, do stuff outside of the training that will help build your confidence too. Like say, like, hey, come on, somebody hit me. Just don't be afraid, just hit me. And see if you can block the hit, see if you can, dodge it. Things that build up your confidence. And then there's going to become a point where you just have to face it. And no matter how much you trained, your heart's still going to start beating. You're going to start panicking. You got to face that bully. Time will come. But here's the funniest thing about bullies. They will kick the shit out of someone who stands up to them if they believe that person is still completely weak and fearful and only making a very weak attempt to stand up to them. If you look them in the eye and you're determined and you tell yourself, I might really get hurt, but I'm going to take this bully down, chances are they're going to walk away, run away, leave you, avoid you, laugh nervously, and back up. Because deep down inside, they want an easy fight. They say bullies are cowards, and it's true. But that doesn't mean they're going to be afraid of everything. They're not going to be afraid of you until you present some kind of formidable opposition to what they're bringing. And if they're bigger than you and stronger than you, and they've picked on 10 other people who look just like you, you're not going to intimidate them. But when you look them in the eye and you have that dead eye look, like, I'm going to take you down, and it's probably going to hurt, but I'm going to take you down. And if you hit me 5 times in the face, I'm going to keep coming back, and I'm going to take you down. And then I'm going to be super angry, and I'm going to take you down hard. They can usually see that in your eyes before any single blow is thrown, and they will usually walk away. And the funny thing is, you'll probably be disappointed. You'll say, now I'm finally ready to face this guy, and he's like, sorry, and he walks away, and you're like, oh man, what's all that work for? But then you'll feel really good about yourself. You feel really good. You'll stand up straighter that day. You'll walk around, and then you'll be able to face other fears. And that's the best thing about overcoming a fear. You knock down one fear, especially your bigger ones, and then the smaller ones are like cake. Like you run roughshod over those. And that will help you in every area of your life, mentally, physically, in your career choice, in your ability to find the person you're trying to spend your life with, or your social circle, making friends, anything. It's amazing. You beat one fear and all these other fears just seem like not a big deal. So let's take a more practical thing. We don't all have bullies when we're adults, but let's say you want to wake up in the morning again, and you're afraid to wake up in the morning. So you need to wake up at 7. Make yourself wake up at 6. Okay, easier said than done. I'm going to make myself wake up at 6 tomorrow. And then the alarm clock goes off at 6 o'clock, and you're like, yeah, I think I'm going to start that and the next day. So what you do the night before, you make it impossible not to wake up at 6, which is an hour before you even need to wake up. How do you make it impossible? Well, be creative. Pretend someone says you've got to wake up at 6 no matter what. What are you going to do? Tell a friend to call you. You live with people, tell them to wake you up. Tell them, absolutely, if I don't get up by 6, I want you to throw cold water on my face. Or something simpler. What I always do, I build in a punishment. Build in a punishment if you don't face your fear. Like, tell someone who will hold you accountable. If I don't wake up at 6 a.m. tomorrow and get out of bed, I will give you $100. And hold yourself to that. Is it going to hurt to lose $100? Do you have $100? How much do you have? Do you have $50? As much as you could possibly give that person that you even have. Now, let's not say what you can afford. You can't afford it, but if you have it, tell this person, if I don't wake up tomorrow at 6 a.m., I'm going to hand you this money. Same day. It's a promise. It's a vow. I will do it. Tell them to their face. Tell someone you would not want to disappoint. So you'll feel stupid if you try to scratch your head and be like, I didn't really mean it. Make it for real. And then set your alarm a little early, 5:45. 5:45 comes around because you don't want to miss the alarm because you slept through it or you were tossing and turning and all of a sudden you realize it's 6:05. 5:45, you're thinking about that $100 you're going to lose, and that $100 hurts a lot more than the pain of waking up an hour early or 2 hours early. So 5:45 comes around and you pop out of bed, or you're like, oh, I have 10 minutes to sleep until 5:55, but by 5:55 you're like, oh, I'm cutting it close. I have 5 minutes left, and then I got to give this guy $100. Screw that. And you get up and you did it. You don't owe this guy $100, and you have your day started. Once you get in the shower, get some coffee, get some, a little bit of food in you if you need, we don't even need food that early. People think we do, we really don't. But, whatever it takes for you to get moving. You get dressed, you brush your teeth, you get out the door, you get in your car, or you get to your computer, or however you start your day. By the time by the time 7 o'clock rolls around, you thought you were going to be feeling sick. You thought you were going to be dragging the whole day because you didn't get that extra hour of sleep. And you're going to find out that's not real. You might feel better than you've ever felt. You might feel a little tired, but you're definitely not going to feel like dead and overwhelmed and terrified, like sick, the way you thought you would, the way your brain told you would when you were laying in bed and it just felt so good and you just wanted to stay there. But that's one day. You knock down one day, and now you got to do it the next day, and the next day, and the next day. You do this for a week, you start to feel better about waking up. You do it for a month, and usually you've beaten it. But still hold yourself to it. It might take a year. You might have to, every day of your life, you might have to say, if I don't wake up at 6 a.m. every single day, that one day I miss out, I'm giving my friend $100. And you might really screw up, and you might have to give your friend $100, and that will be the best $100 you've ever spent, because it will piss you off, and the next day you're not going to lose another 100. You're going to do it. And I wake up at 6 a.m., and then there's going to be days where you really did get to sleep super late, or something kept you awake, or you weren't feeling well. And those days, you're going to be like, now, today is really hard to get up at 6 a.m. I need like a cheat day. Force yourself on that day to still do it. Maybe you don't have to work that day, but just force yourself to just be out of bed, and just, even if you get dressed and sit on the couch and lounge around and still watch TV, just be out of bed and be dressed. And suddenly you just start to think, this is never going to be a thing for me again. And you'll have extra hours in your day. You'll go to bed more easily. You'll sleep better because you're using more energy. There's two different fears I showed you. This is the bully, the actual physical fear, and then the getting up, which is a much more common one, I think, for adults. But it could be anything, or like this is an art channel I do. Are you afraid to do art? That's like the dumbest fear ever, but so many people have it. Oh, I could never be an artist. I wouldn't know where to start. You just start drawing lines on a paper. You freaking pick up a crayon and just start putting it down on the paper and make it bad, and just keep doing it. Just keep scribbling. Make your scribbles into something. I've said in the past I wasn't very mechanically inclined to. I always like building, putting stuff together, but I didn't learn from an early age how to like fix a car. So I open the hood and I look at it, and it's all overwhelming, and I'm going to go to the mechanic. No. Small, slow steps. First, stop and ask your mechanic, what is this thing? What is this thing? Don't be afraid. Where does the oil go? How do I change the oil? Where does the power steering fluid go? And then from there, move on. And you can learn anything. Anything that's a fear you can overcome.